This week on the Island Times News Update, Atlantic Beach candidates square off in a Beaches Watch forum. Neptune Beach looks to address its animal control issues, and it was a relatively quiet 4th of July, according to police officials. Welcome to the Island Times News Update. I'm Tom Patton. Atlantic Beach voters will go to the polls on August 25th to choose a mayor and Seat 2 commissioner. In a repeat of the 2013 mayor's race, incumbent Carolyn Woods is being challenged by local businessman Mitch Reeves. For Seat 2, businessman and first-time candidate John Stinson is running against incumbent Maria Mark. At a Beaches Watch forum at the Atlantic Beach Elementary School Tuesday night, the candidates answered questions ranging from the proposed charter amendments to the disagreement between Gate Petroleum and Beach Diner and the Seaside Community Council. On the issue of the proposed Gate convenience store and gas station, the candidates were divided on how the city should approach the issue. John Stinson said the city is not seen as business-friendly.
I can't figure out why we would ever say something to one business and offer them a concession or a variance to the detriment of another. I walk the streets up and down Atlantic Boulevard and Maple Road, and I have yet to find a business that thinks Atlantic Beach is business-friendly. And this is one of the reasons why. So what I would say about the Beach Diner Gate Petroleum issue is you got to hand this right back to our current administration and our current officials down at City Hall that have created this problem and say, get us out of this. It's your job. You did it.
Maria Mark said that the codes allow Gate to build a convenience store that sells gas with 6 fueling positions.
Now, we don't have to get into that technical about fueling positions, but it is allowed under our code under use by exception. So the bottom line is, if Gate wants to build a convenience store with 6 fueling positions that sells gas, we have they can file for use by exception, but they have to play by our rules. Otherwise, they have to go before the Community Development Board, they have to come before the Commission, and they have to get certain variances and certain use by exceptions approved. That's where we have the power to do and to implement what our code allows us to do legally without the city getting sued.
On another issue, Reeves and Woods disagreed on the need for the Seaside Community Council, an idea that Woods said was proposed by a member of the community and was misunderstood by its detractors. She said that most of the research to be done was looking at existing research.
There's no hidden agenda. We're not trying to solve any of the world's problems. We're just simply trying to do the best we can to protect and preserve our wonderful community that we have here. Oh my goodness, our 2 natural resources. The marsh is just fantastic. The beach, our coast, I mean, it's just wonderful. It would be terrible. It would be a travesty for us to just sit by and let these things fall into decay because we don't take the time to learn about the issues that are important for us as a community.
But Reeves said the council was another example of the city tackling national issues.
Why do we worry about the 319.6 million people in the United States? Why don't we just spend our time worrying about us? Let's look at things and worry about us. Our taxes, our neighborhoods, our schools. Our schools. That's what we should be doing. I have a big problem with the grants. I have a big problem listening to people say, I want to serve on this council, but also we can get all these great grants. We're going to get these grants and everything. And when this thing started off, they didn't even want to be under the Sunshine Law. They wanted to meet on their own. They talked about it, and it came up to a commission, and thank goodness several commissions listened and said, no, they will come under the Sunshine Law. See, I have a problem when you talk about grants, and I wished I thought of this. But Commissioner Hill came up with grants are like somebody giving you a pony. That pony is free, but somebody's got to feed it, brush it, clean it, and take it to the vet.
The only real misstep of the evening also came from Reeves. In trying to make a point about the challenges of running, he made a statement that many in the audience interpreted as being dismissive of Martina Blythe Waters, who won seat 3 unopposed and was in the audience.
Looking as the commissioner over here is, I wouldn't have to be running against anybody. You know, she's lucky and she's young, and that's what we got to do.
During his closing statement, he apologized to Waters.
Bly, I made a mistake, and I apologize to you and your family. Your father was a great man and did a very good job. I did not mean that way. What I meant is that I'm a short, fat, bald-headed guy. That's what I was thinking, so it's no disrespect to you. I think you will do a wonderful job. I made a terrible mistake in saying I didn't explain exactly what I was saying.
Voters will also decide whether to approve a package of changes to the city charter and will vote on whether they wish to have commissioners running for a seat in a particular district be chosen only by the voters in that district. Beaches Watch said 209 people attended the forum, and you can see the entire forum on their website. There's no early voting for the August 25th election, but voters can cast absentee ballots. Well, Neptune Beach residents have raised concerns about the level of animal control services in the city, which prompted Mayor Harriet Pruitt to put the issue on the agenda for a workshop before Monday night's regular meeting. The purpose of the discussion, Pruitt said, was to give new city manager Andrew Hyatt direction in better allocating the time of the city's only animal control officer, Dee Zagari. While Pruitt said Zagari is doing a good job as animal control officer, she's also called upon to be the backup school crossing guard. And when she's on duty, she's required to clean cages and take care of animals, which cuts into her time patrolling for violations. She also sometimes has to transport animals that are not adopted to the main shelter in Jacksonville. Councilwoman Kara Tucker suggested that there might be other ways to handle the crossing guard issue.
I think our police officers could do it on an emergency basis, because if you look back at the data, it looks like it wasn't just a one or two time thing. It was multiple times because one of the guards had surgery or something. So I think we could have networked with Jax Beach or Atlantic Beach to get one of their crossing guards to fill in, and so she could still do her current job duties.
Zagari is also responsible for enforcing local laws about dogs on the beach, and Councilor Scott Wiley said there are conflicting reports about how much of a problem that really is.
I know I hear different reports as to how many dogs are out there without leashes versus none, back and forth. I think if she spent more time on the beach during the peak hours would certainly be needed, and then if there is any assistance, the police department could go down there with an SUV. If it's just four-wheel drive every now and then and patrol. But there could be a problem down there. You hear both sides, so maybe it'd be nice to sometime hear from her as to what her day is actually made up of and where she spends most of her time, because I have no idea what these call type numbers mean.
City Manager Hyatt will report back to the council at a later date. Also at the workshop meeting Monday night, the Neptune Beach Council discussed changes that still need to be made to the sign ordinance, including when a multi-tenant shopping center would be required to replace a tall sign with a low monument sign as is specified in the ordinance, as well as when a damaged sign would have to be replaced. Recent storms damaged the reader boards on the signs for Aqua East and U-Haul in Neptune Beach. Under the current ordinance, they may be required to now replace their signs because of the amount of damage caused by the storms. But Councilor Scott Wiley said the ordinance is still unclear on what constitutes a repair and when a damaged sign is required to be replaced. Wiley said that in his view, the damage to the reader board should not be considered a trigger for replacement. Councilor John Jolly said the ordinance should be consistent for all businesses, and certain businesses should not be grandfathered in.
I would like to see us just take what the Community Development Board's got, put it in a draft of an ordinance change and go forward with that. I hear what Mr. Wiley's saying, and essentially what our attorney says. We need to have the same definition in both sections. For example, right now what we would say is that in section 3E, we say that you have to replace this with the one that meets our qualifications for any damage But yet over in section 5, we're saying that if, as long as you do repair for damage, you don't have to replace it. So that's inconsistent, and we need to make sure we make it right. What's my definition of repair and your definition of repair? And then we got to give a good definition for it, because we can't expect staff to say, well, this is not a repair or that is a repair. If I own the sign, I may repair it every week to make sure it doesn't fall down. The whole idea of this section triggers is to have them replaced with one that meets our code.
Councilman Wiley plans to introduce an amendment to the ordinance that would clarify some of those issues, including definitions of what constitutes a repair and when a sign would have to be replaced. The Jacksonville Beach City Council passed on first reading an ordinance that would prevent local pet stores from selling puppies or kittens that had been obtained from a so-called puppy mill or kitten mill. The ordinance would require pet stores that sell dogs and cats to provide certification information about where those animals had been obtained. The law would allow only the sale of animals that had been obtained from an animal rescue organization or a recognized humane shelter. An amendment offered by Councilman Phil Vogelsang would allow shelters to bring dogs and cats to pet stores for display and free adoption without requiring the store to provide the documentation. The amended ordinance passed unanimously and will be back on the agenda for a second vote August 17th. Well, when we come back, property values are on the rise in the Beaches communities. This is the Island Times News Update.
Beaches Academy Child Care Center in Jacksonville Beach has been offering affordable, loving child care to families in the Beaches communities for 35 years. Conveniently located on Penman Road, Beaches Academy offers care for children from infants through preschool, with programs that encourage learning and outdoor play. Our affordable tuition means families can get quality child care at a price that fits their budget. Contact Beaches Academy at 246-3885 and schedule a tour of our center. Beaches Academy, the child always comes first. Charlie's Tropic Heating and Air Conditioning in Atlantic Beach offers a full range of residential and commercial heating and air conditioning services, from new installation to replacement and remodeling. Charlie's Tropic Heating and Air Conditioning can keep your home comfortable year-round, and they offer preventive maintenance contracts to keep your system running at peak efficiency. Charlie's Tropic Heating and Air Conditioning is an authorized Bryant dealer and will service all brands. For year-round comfort in your home or business, contact the original Charlie's Tropic Heating and Air Conditioning at 241-1788.
Welcome back to the Island Times News Update. I'm Tom Patton. Early budget numbers in Jacksonville Beach show the tax base has raised sufficiently that the city will be able to reduce its millage rate for the next fiscal year. The proposed budget for Jacksonville Beach for next year is $159.8 million for the city, which is nearly 5% less than last year. The city's property tax base grew 8.71%, according to the Property Appraiser's Office. City Manager George Forbes has proposed a millage rate of 3.8974, a slight decrease from last year, but still above the rollback rate of 3.7662. Atlantic Beach and Neptune Beach also saw increases in property values, but not to the extent of Jacksonville Beach. The Atlantic Beach tax base was up just over 7%, while Neptune Beach saw a tax base hike of nearly 5%. Police officials from all three beach communities told Beaches Watch that the July 4th holiday was relatively quiet this year. Atlantic Beach Chief Michael Deal, Jacksonville Beach Chief Patrick Dooley, and Neptune Beach Assistant Chief Tony Carrillo all said the major problems were with bicycles and house parties, but for the most part the crowds were well behaved and traffic was cleared pretty quickly after the fireworks. Assistant Chief Carrillo did say that Lane Pittman, who was arrested while playing an electric guitar on July 4th, was not arrested because he played the Star-Spangled Banner, as Carrillo said was portrayed in the media. Carrillo said Pittman was arrested because he was blocking the public right-of-way and did not comply with police when he was asked to stop. Well, the next Jacksonville Beach Art Walk will be held Tuesday, August 11th, showcasing the talent of great local artists. Art Walk takes place in front of the businesses along 1st Street from Beach Boulevard North to 5th Avenue North. Many of the participating businesses will have live music and specials through the Art Walk. The event runs from 5 to 9 p.m. and is free. And it's still more than a month away, but the city of Neptune Beach will be holding a public meeting for the first reading of the budget on Wednesday, September 9th, 2015 at 6 p.m., and a public hearing for the second reading of the budget on Monday, September 21st. Those meetings will both be held in the council chambers, so mark your calendars if you live in Neptune Beach. The National Weather Service says we can expect a chance of showers and thunderstorms for the weekend and into next week. But it is Florida in the summertime after all. Look for highs generally in the mid to upper 80s and lows in the mid 70s. The Island Times is always digital, always free at www.theislandtimes.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter to be the first to know about stories posted to the Island Times. I'm Tom Patton. Thanks for watching.